Welcome to the Stronger Together podcast, brought to you by Sandpoint Strength and Conditioning. I'm your coach, Kenny Marquardt, and I'm here with Rick Evans, owner of Evans Brothers Coffee, co-owner with his brother. He's been a member of the gym for just over 12 years, and it's been cool to watch him progress and grow and just still do pretty impressive stuff over the last more than a decade. So glad to have him here.
Good to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So I start every podcast asking people how they found us, how they get started, and what they remember about that. So do you remember what that was like?
Yeah. See, I'd been in town. I'd been here for a few years for sure, maybe 4 years when I joined the gym. I've been here 16 or 17 years in Sandpoint. And I was definitely into, I was hitting the gym. I think I was going to the old SWAC at the time. I had kind of gotten to a point where I was doing little circuit type stuff. Yeah. So similar sort of styles it was different, but circuit training of some way that I'd kind of gotten into. And my sister, she's been here visiting, she lives in Florida. She's a great athlete, and she had gotten really into CrossFit. And of course it was CrossFit gym at the time, it was CrossFit Sandpoint. So she had gotten into it, and we've always had that in common, the whole fitness thing. So we just started talking about that. And then I guess I learned about your gym, not too long after that. And just went and checked it out. I thought it was pretty badass, and I was excited, how it's funny how things have changed, at that time it was like you put your scores on the board, and it was very much more of like a kind of a competitive thing. And,
very much.
So, where I was at, that was definitely like super appealing, and just come in there and grind every day.
Totally. Yeah. I think I remember your first day. I think we did box jumps. I don't know.
Yeah. And I was trying to do muscle ups. You guys were trying to show me. I couldn't quite get it, but
but that, like, your eyes lit up.
Yeah.
You were jacked. Like, that was what you needed. I think you really enjoyed the competitive aspect.
I did.
Trying to hammer every day.
Yeah. It was fun. It was just a way to kind of elevate what I was doing. And I just absolutely loved it. So I was all in on it for sure. And
yeah. And that continued for, I don't know, several years. You were pretty into the open and trying to really push on the CrossFit side of things for a while.
Yeah, I was. I mean, I felt like I was all in on the actual CrossFit as a sport, and trying to get better at that. And the open was really great. And found that definitely there are things I was more naturally good at, like things like Murph and like the grindier, like more endurance type things, and just the engine stuff, and also like Fran and things like that. The Olympic lifting was always my challenge, especially snatching, because I don't have overhead mobility. And even though I focus a lot more on mobility, it's never something I'm not gonna ever have like exceptional overhead mobility. So I feel like that there was a couple things that definitely were limiters. But yeah, I got into it. I did I think my first year I went down, and the gym was doing more kind of competitions, like inter-gym stuff. I think we had like Spokane guys come up and had some competitions, and then there was the what was it? The battle? 509 maybe, or something, or no? What was that competition? It was out at Empire States.
Yes,
Classic.
Empire Classic. Yep.
Yeah, and so that was my first like competition of any sort, and I entered and it was my first year, so I did the novice division. And I went down there, I freaking won it. It was amazing. I freaking loved it, And I was 42 years old, 44 years old or something. Maybe, I guess 40, would have been about 40. Yeah, when I joined the gym. So, and I entered the novice, and it was cool, man. I know the first event was a 5K.
Yes.
And I surprised myself by actually like winning that event. And then, I just like, it was really tight between me and the second place guy, and we were battling back and forth, but it was super exciting. And it was still like, it was pretty cool to have won even if it was a novice thing, it was pretty badass to have won that thing. And
I did the same. I think I won that the year before. I don't know, with the novice category. And I remember being like, maybe this was not, maybe I should have come in a little more. But I had talked to Dan, who ran it at the time. I was like, what should I, like, I've never done a competition.
Yeah.
And he's like, just do novice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
think everybody has a right to do that, when they're
first time. Yeah. Keep going and sweep in the novice, maybe not.
Exactly. Year after year.
Come back. Yeah. I think I must have done that one too, because I remember a 5K first event. But I did not win that. We're opposites.
I'm sure. You won the lifting.
I'm sure.
Exactly. Yeah, I was hanging on. The last event was like a bunch of like clean and jerks, I think. And I was just like hanging on by a thread. I fell apart, and I held on to barely win.
Yeah.
So
I probably made up some ground. I don't remember where
yeah.
I must not have done the novice at that time because I won the year before. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's,
yeah, it was cool, man.
Memories.
And I did a few events. Like I partnered up with Dan on another event, and just did a few things. And I think the coolest, like in terms of like CrossFit, I did a couple competitions with my sister.
Yeah.
So I did one. Actually, I went down to, there was a thing called the Clearwater Beach Brawl, Clearwater, Florida, and that's where she lives. And she's in a big gym where they have games athletes and stuff like that. And in fact, her gym, they're for the team division, they're usually at the games.
Cool.
Yeah, and but I did a masters. There was two competitions. I did a masters competition. I think it was 40 and up. So it was 3 guys, me and 2 others, and I think we took third in that. It was super cool. There was like a paddleboard event and running on the beach, and we're out there doing sandbags in the sand and all this kind of stuff. And super cool. And then I think the highlight was going down. This was only like 4 or 5 years ago, and going down and entering a master's co-ed with my sister.
Yes.
And we won that.
Yeah.
We swept every event, and we won the master's co-ed, and like that was super special.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she's had a journey too.
She's had a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. That made it all the more. She's she had double mastectomy, had breast cancer, and she had been like, she was getting really good in CrossFit and like really wanting to make a run at getting to the games and stuff like that herself as a master.
Yeah.
That would, like, I think it would have been in like the 35s or something like that. And then, she got breast cancer, and she's never been like quite, she's never had that endurance that she had before then, just because of all the surgery and whatever, that did to her and stuff. So she's still active CrossFitter and is doing it. But so to go in there and like it was extra motivation to go out and win something with her. It was like, it's probably like, I was definitely my top. It's, probably, it was definitely a top 3, top 5, like athletic experience for me winning that with her.
That's rad.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing that's so cool.
Super cool. I think the only thing that would be equally cool, it would be like doing a father-son thing sometime.
Yeah.
That would be a thing that would get me into training specifically for CrossFit again.
Be more competitive.
If there was something like me and Trace joining up on something. So I still have a kind of dream of doing something like that.
Yeah. And he's on the way. How old is he now?
Yeah.
17?
He's 16.
16.
Yeah. And he's like freaking, he's a good little athlete for sure.
Yeah. He's really come into his own, I feel like, in the last couple of years too. Like,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, he's been a part of the youth stuff forever.
Yeah.
But I feel like the last couple of years, he's really like that maturity and
definitely,
all that's the physical development that comes at that age. Like, he's really, you have noticed a big difference in him.
Yeah. It's super cool to watch,
Might be coming up.
He's got testosterone coursing through his body, and like, he's just like, it's funny because he got really, well, he joined 6 years old, I think, is when he started in the kids class there.
Yep.
And, back when Dan was doing it, and he's been part of it ever since. I mean, he's now doing running, he's doing cross country and distance track. So during the season, he's not in the gym because he can't do both, but he still comes back and does the teens class in between every time. And he just set he just back squatted 285, and that's after he's been running.
That's awesome.
He's gotten stronger somehow.
That's so cool.
It's pretty cool. But he's got a hell of an engine. I mean, he's like, it's pretty cool because he's just like, you just see he just digs deep. He really like he can go into the pain cave and yeah.
And that's, I mean, it's weird to have been a part of this for so long. I remember him walking in the gym.
As a little kid.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. And then to see him evolve and change and like his maturity as a person, like it's weird for one. Like I said, it's hard for me to fathom. Like, I've gotten this much older and seeing these kids who I remember, and now they're adult or damn near adults.
Yeah.
But it's also so cool to see him just mature into he's just a good kid. Good man.
Thank you.
Good young man.
Yeah. So. He's good. He really is. And he's like, he's more confident, talks to other kids more, and he's more of like, I think he's more of like Nick appreciates having him because he can be kind of helpful, and he does all the movements really well, and he's super like supportive of the newer guys and stuff. So it's super proud of him for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Maybe I'll do something, find some father son for you.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Yeah, I hope so.
So then your evolution you started moving a little bit more into like Tough Mudder or Spartan Race type stuff, like more what the heck's the name of that? Like adventure race type stuff. Right.
Yeah. Obstacle racing. Adventure racing. Yeah. I got full into Spartan Race for probably about 4 or 5 years, and I made it really my focus. So a lot of trail running.
Yep.
And running 30 plus miles a week or something. Maybe probably would average like 30 to maybe as much as 40. Can't really do too much more than that usually for me.
Yeah.
Without getting injured.
Yeah, I remember having some of those conversations. You had a pretty high volume. And
I was trying to balance, and I think I made the mistake early on. It was like I was still hammering like super high intensity, and then I'd go on my runs, and I'm doing high intensity runs, and I was like, I didn't really modulate it very well, at first. So I think I was making gains, but I think I probably held myself. I would overtrain for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that was a theme all for years.
It's a hard balance.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a weird,
yeah.
Even like I've been a part of so many program design courses and learning, and it's just a hard balance to juggle with
Definitely.
with the volume on
Yeah.
the entire sport of whether it's CrossFit or obstacle course, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really delicate
For
balance.
sure. Yeah. And like trying to, like in the obstacle racing, it's like sort of a newer, the hybrid racing, a hybrid, I think they call it the whole thing, like the high rocks.
Yep.
It's like newer on what the best way to train is and how to balance how much running, how much lifting, how much like high intensity, like HIIT training.
Yeah.
And so just trying to learn what works for me and everything. But it's cool. I mean, I love just diving in. I'm listening to podcasts all the time, and training stuff and fitness things, and now some more like on longevity stuff and all those pieces. But I love, if I didn't own a coffee business, I would be doing something along the lines of what you're doing for sure. I would be in the fitness space in some way, because I just love it. And I get really fascinated by like just how to get the most out of like a body.
Yeah.
And it's fun to me. The Spartan racing was super cool because I found that I could still I've run off and on in my life. I was a decent runner. I ran like 1 year in high school. Didn't really like it at the time, but I've always been a pretty good, like with the endurance side. So I've been pretty solid runner naturally, like it's especially relative to like a CrossFitter. I've had one of the faster miles and stuff like that. So doing the Spartan racing was like, oh man, this is actually something I can be pretty freaking good at. Like, and I would do the competitive age group division. So I was doing the 40 to 49 division at the time. And it took me a bit to get on the podium, but I was always doing it to win, you know? And I think I was taking like, I would get like 5th place, 4th place, 6th place. And, but I was really focused on it. And I started learning more about running training, like slowing down and not going hard, that I just needed to get miles and build my base. Aerobic engine. So I learned about that. And I started getting just more like easy miles in and stuff like that. And I think my running really improved, and trying to, figure out where the balance was of all the different efforts and stuff like that. And so suddenly I popped off and I won, I took first place in a race up in Canada. Awesome. And I won, like, it was first in my division, and then like second overall, all the age groups for that race. So that was such a cool moment, because it was such a cool moment because I had not succeeded for a bit, and I kept trying, and I really wanted it. And it was like, I kept falling short. And so then to dig in and like, just reinvest in what I was doing and look at it a different way and figure out what I need to do. And then to have success was really, I think if I would have had success right off the bat, it wouldn't have meant as much, if I was just like a natural, awesome Spartan racer or something. But,
for sure.
So I was naturally good, but not like great. And so I really learned. And I've been on, a handful of podiums and stuff when I did that. And then I trained really hard. I had the goal of winning the national championship race, which was going to be in Canada, and you had to qualify for that from, doing well in some other races. So I did that. I trained, I went up to Big White Ski Resort and I trained for that. And I ended up taking third in the 40 to 49 of everybody, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But there's still like, this part of me that's like this, the part of me that is both a gift and a curse, is like, I always expect so much.
Yeah.
And so I'm still like, oh man, first of all, I crossed the finish line. I battled this person for most of the race, crossed the finish line before him. And it wasn't until they drew in the awards that I realized with the chip timing, he actually beat me, even though I crossed the line. So I thought I was second place, and I was actually third. And it was like kind of a shitty race.
Yeah.
I felt sick the night before. I got in, almost didn't cross the border. I got in at like 10 o'clock at night, had to just eat crappy whatever I had, wake up early. It was raining. I'm not good in all the things were wrong. I failed like obstacles right off the bat. You had to do penalty loops. And so it was like a horrible race, and I still came in third.
Yeah. You sound like you're able to talk yourself out.
I know
into success, but I feel like there's a little bit.
I can go both ways. There's still like, I still look at that third place medal. I'm like, man, I should have done better, And I'm proud. And I can also say, man, I'm proud that I did, because it was one of those races where it would have been easy to just like, oh man, I pretty much had lost the chance to take first.
Yeah. In
the first probably 15 minutes of a 2.5 hour, 3 hour race. And then, so that's where the real like mental battle of, okay, can I still like give my best here, even though I've already screwed up and not going to hit my goal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can I still show up and just bring my best? Even if it, at that time was like, I'm probably not even like, I wasn't even gonna be top 10, but I like just dug it out and got, finished at third. And so, yeah, it depends on how I want to look at it,
I mean, that's a really good, like, that's a, I don't know, big picture kind of observation. I think that's super important, but I think there's almost like, again, this is kind of woo woo, whatever, but yeah, go.
Yep.
The ability to like have the mental maturation and the way that you can look at this and be like, this was a victory.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't, like, there's a victory in that too, in a lot of ways. Because I feel like the resilience for people and their ability to fail and get back on the horse is tough. And like, you've proven that you've been able to do it, but also the ability to like coach yourself into success, like defining your own success through it. I think that's a huge, like, that's a more important life thing than having won the gold medal.
Totally is. It's like, it's learning about, I mean, I've grown so much just as a person through competitive sports, through athletics, and just like gaining self-confidence, overcoming my own thoughts.
Yes.
Like, I want to quit. You suck. You screwed up, and like being able to find that other voice. It's like, no, you believe in yourself. Like, you do the best you can, and you don't give up on yourself, and so then when times are super tough in life, it's like, okay, I've shown that I'm tougher than I think I am.
Heck yeah.
I can dig deep. And so learning how to dig deep has been a big gift out of all this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to talk about that, because that was a different, like the Rick that started the gym versus the Rick that's at the gym now. Like, it's such a different attitude towards performance and probably some internal self-talk. Like, I'd love to hear your perspective on what that journey's been like for you. Cause not to, I don't know how you feel about it or not, but you took it very seriously and were really hard on yourself.
Definitely.
And I think a lot of people have that, right? Like, that's the drive that's probably made you successful in business and fitness and life.
Yeah. Like,
that drive is really good, but the negative self-talk or the ability to deal with failure, which is a tough skill to develop. Like, I don't know that was really refined 12 years ago when you first started working out. So like, what's that?
100%. I mean, you probably remember me like getting literally pissed off, just mad at myself for not doing well in a random day-to-day workout that meant nothing, and if I didn't have a time, or if somebody that I didn't think was better than me at that, that I had a better time or something, I'd be down on it. And I mean, it's really like something that was a thing with me from very young. I was super insecure kid. And I grew up like tennis was I played baseball, soccer and all that. But then tennis became like my focus. I wanted to be a pro tennis player. And I was a pretty good tennis player. I definitely was committed to it. I played like hours and hours every day. But man, I was so hard on myself.
Yeah.
Like so hard on myself. And my identity was wrapped up in my ability to, on how well I played.
Yeah.
If I won or didn't win, if I beat somebody and I mean, I think I literally would look at it as like, I'm a lesser person if you beat me,
Sure.
So, and I think it was just like not having matured. And I mean, honestly, I feel like I started really growing up as a man, like probably around that time when I turned, in my 40s, I had a big, I had gotten divorced right around that time. I guess right around that time, and started a new business. I had lost all, moved here and had been in real estate, and market crash. I kind of lost everything, and just started over with starting our business, Evans Brothers. And so it was also starting over, like with me personally. I think I outwardly was look confident a lot of the time, but I really didn't really like who I was as a person.
Yeah.
And so yeah, man, a lot of it's been this journey, and this is probably, maybe we don't always go here with the fitness podcast, right? But it's really been a journey of just loving myself for who I am.
Yeah.
And loving that part of me that is willing to like just fight for myself, and that's not going to give up. And there were times when I was going to give up on myself, like, man, I'm just, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I felt like that, and I didn't like how I was in certain areas of my life, and I didn't like how I was in my last marriage, years ago. And just, yeah, a lot of things. I didn't feel like I was living up to being the man that I knew I was inside. Like I think there's a sense of like who I really am, and if it doesn't meet with, how I'm living.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I joined, I've been part of a men's group since right around that time, go every Wednesday, and that's been super helpful. And just like learning to appreciate and love who I am, including all the, like, how hard I want it, how bad I want it, how competitive I am, and just having like more of a compassion for all those aspects of myself. And a lot of it honestly was like having kids, and I would one of the sort of portals to that was like, okay, what would I tell my son if he was beating himself up like this?
Right.
What would I want him to know if he was so down on himself because he failed at something? I'd be like, man, I love you, and it doesn't matter,
Yeah. You try,
and as I could start to give myself that same, like, as if I'm like that little kid,
So, that's great. Yeah, I worked with a therapist that said the same. She basically framed it the same way. And we actually kind of traced it back to some of my early on coaches, who were super hard on me, like just like at 9-10 years old, would you be like, you're like, you suck. Like, how did you blow that? But I do, like, you ask like how deep we usually go on a fitness pod, but I think this is one of the most important things that people could do, and especially to hear it from you.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me uncomfortable to say, but partly people hear it from me. Like, I deal with the same and have dealt with the same, like, self-hatred, negative self-talk, feeling like I'm inadequate.
Yeah.
And like, that's transpired through the majority of my existence. And it's like kind of that constant ability to talk myself through it. And hopefully that's improved over time. But I mean, people would look at you like successful athlete, successful business person, great, handsome devil. Like, there's a lot of like majorly, like hugely positive things that a lot of people, I think, sitting on the couch or who are just getting started with would be like, man, if I just had that, I'd be happy. But I think it's so important to start from the happy and the positive self-talk. Yeah. Because if you start chasing the rabbit, you're never going to catch it. Because that rabbit, you just keep moving the goalpost,
There's always going to be somebody better. And when you're the best, somebody's going to come along and knock you off, So, yeah.
Totally. And if there's not a person, like for me, oftentimes it's just my own internal, like, well, now what are we doing next year? In fact, we're in January, and I'm talking about, with other business owners about annual plans and goals and, okay, cool. If I could do this by the end of next year, then I'll be happy. Like, that'll check the box for me. Then I'll have it figured out.
Slippery slope on that, right? Yeah.
Totally. And then you come around, sure enough, you either did the thing or didn't do the thing, and you're still in the same place of consciousness or negative self-image. And I think starting from the internal ability to coach yourself and talk yourself through it. And like you said, looking at yourself as though you were your own kid or a youth athlete or whatever it would be, like your own best friend.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but my internal voice is definitely not my best friend.
Often not the voice I know. Yeah. It's like, I got to have my own back, learning how to have my own back, because I didn't forever. Right. I'd screw something up. I'm like, you piece of shit. What the hell, man? And like, and now every now and then I'll kind of slip in, like I'll do something and then I'll be disappointed in myself, and I'll catch myself with this negative self-talk, and it actually makes me sad. Like, I feel it, like, oh man, like, and I'll regret, and then but it's good because it hurts. Like, I don't just do it. It's not just like this natural thing anymore where I'm always beating myself up, Yeah. And when I do, it's like, really, I realize how freaking damaging it is.
Yeah. Well, the awareness is so much of it. Like, I think all self-improvement is like the awareness and just being like, oh, okay, like noticing the thing that allows you to change it, rather than just like saying, I would just go hammer down how much shit as I can talk to myself. I'm going. For whatever reason, it feels feels good, but bad, right? Like it
Yeah.
feels like in the moment, you're like, yeah, I deserve for whatever it is. And I don't know what it is. Maybe
Yeah.
it was my previous coaches, but like, it feels like you deserve that
Yeah.
self
Yeah.
talk.
And I think I had a belief that if I wasn't hard on myself, I wouldn't try.
Right.
I wouldn't change.
Yep.
And so I got to beat myself up to get myself to change. And it's actually been kind of quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Like as long as if I can get down on myself and like give my, that negative self-talk. And then I just like, then I just want to crawl into a hole, and it's like,
yep.
And versus if I can give myself like compassion of like, okay, maybe could have done a little different there and we can learn from this or something. But like just to give myself like grace,
yeah. Yeah.
Then it's like, I don't know. I respond better to that kind of reinforcement of like, nah, you're a good person. You're still a good athlete, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
And how would you treat your son? In this instance, like what would you want him to know? And then that always is like automatic. Like,
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. So what do you focus? So obviously you're still, again, I think it's easy to slip into that. Like if I'm not hard on myself or I don't hold myself to this standard, beat myself up about it, I'm going to be sitting on the corner banging a drum. Like there's no, like, but obviously you're still successful in fitness and business and in relationships and life. So what is the thing that you focus on now that allows you to say that you can talk to yourself positively and say, hey, you did, maybe I'm asking a question that I'm leading to the answer, but like, do you have stuff that you can focus on that allows yourself to look at you and be like, hey, dude, you did it?
I mean, practicing gratitude is really important. I think that I have slowly but surely gotten to a place where my natural outlook can be a little bit more positive, where it used to be glass half empty, And I think, and that's been just it's a conscious thing. It's an intentional thing of like, I'll sit down sometimes and I don't do it daily, but I gratitude journal, and just being like super present and appreciating, because there's so much beauty in my life. I've got so many gifts. I got a beautiful marriage, family, live in a great town, tons of friends, I'm healthy and fit and, having fun. I get to ski. So, I can go on, beautiful home, all this stuff. And, it's like the good old days are now.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So
yes,
I might as well try to really enjoy it. Cause, this is the life, and I do feel like these are really my best years. I think, there's a lot of different practices. Me going to group weekly, and then I start to get a little off and I start to get into a funk, then I people that hold me accountable and remind me of like who I am and things like that. And we support each other. So that's been really key for me. Just having something that is a continuous, thing to keep me, keep me in the direction I want to go.
Externalize.
Yeah.
And be able to, talk to some other people who probably know the journey too.
And I worked with I worked with a happiness coach for a number of years. We named Leslie Vallely. She does a bunch of like, courses around here. And she's like, really amazing. She's been doing this stuff for years, and a lot of people around here have gone through her work, but it's just like the cultivating a practice of being happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is like, it's a practice, I could practice being sad. I could practice being happy is where I'm putting my attention. And the more I put my attention on like what I do want and what I want to create, and less on what's not working.
Yeah.
Cause I can have like 95% of my life is great. And I can be like, focus on that freaking little 5%.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Same.
Or I can reverse it. And so, that's been a big learning experience for me.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I'm glad to hear, like, it's weird. I think men especially are not super comfortable with the fact that like working with a therapist is okay. Like there's even more of that negative self-talk.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need that. Like I'm tough, this or that and the other. And I think even the self-talk reinforces that sometimes, but I've done that. I've got a mental health coach. I've got therapists I've worked with in the past and groups that I'm a part of that allow you to externalize those internal voices and struggles and realize you're not alone.
Yeah. I feel like we all need help in some way and support, and it's been such a part of the culture where men kind of like this message is suck it up, don't cry, don't show emotion. And I definitely think that narrative's changing a lot, and fortunately, because we need help just as much as women do, right? We all do. I think everybody needs something, like some support, somebody to talk to be able to open up to and stuff like that. So whatever that looks like.
Yeah, and I think women are more communal.
Naturally,
to make it generic, they're very much more communal. So I think they have that outlet better.
Yeah, they'll tend to like get really deep with each other. I think more so than guys will, maybe. And
Yeah.
day-to-day kind of thing.
Very much. I
Yeah.
think so. I don't know. Never
Yeah.
been a woman, but I
Yeah.
can't not for everybody to speculate. But as far as I come to understand,
Yeah.
in fact, we did Garrett and I did a weekend retreat. It was a 5-day with Tim Corcoran. Who
I
know
remember that. I
Yeah,
know.
I
That's
you're pretty
awesome.
close with. Yeah, that was really good. But it was all men. We all got
That's
to
rad.
sit around the fire, and
Yeah.
that was a really good group. At least from what Tim said. I mean, from my perspective, it was a great group. And what Tim had said, he's like, dude, you guys are awesome. Like, you guys came in.
That's so cool.
And like, there was no walls. You guys were able to share, and it was just a good group.
Yeah.
And it was a really cathartic, really positive, with 7 strangers. To sit around the fire and be like, dude, I'm not doing okay.
Yeah.
And
that's amazing.
just to share it. So anyways, again, I think it's more and more that we talk about this stuff. And again, you're hyper masculine for whatever that's like, take that the right way. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if people were looking at you like, dude,
yeah,
fit, athlete, successful. Same with me.
I'll cry at the drop of a hat too.
Same. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So, which is cool. I mean, I think it redefines what it is to be masculine, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not about sucking it up and like, you know, just doing it all yourself and like that whole old framework, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about being authentic and vulnerable and being there, you know, for being strong for myself, being strong for my family, but strong in a way of like, not like I have to be the Rock and I can't, you know, I can't show emotion and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then I think what, you know, coming back to Trace and with my son Garrison, like to be able to show them that, hey, this is cool. You're not continuing that narrative.
Definitely. It feels good.
Yeah.
To change that.
Yeah. Cause at that same experience with Tim, we did this, you know, conclusion of the ceremony, and Garrison was broke down in tears, like in front of the group. He felt really embarrassed by it. I was like, dude, no, like this is cool. This is a safe place. You can totally do that. And it means a lot to me. So anyways, the point being, I think that if you just bottle it up and continue, you know, that you're passing that on for generations to come, if we don't kind of break that cycle and make it okay to do the thing.
That's awesome. Yeah. I thought that was really amazing that you guys did that. I heard about it. Sounds really cool.
Yeah. I can't wait to have him on here just to talk through that and maybe promote that a little bit. Cause I think it was such a good experience.
For sure.
Do you find on that topic too? Like I do have a hard time with the time to be tough for Garrison and the time to show emotion. Do you ever have that struggle?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I do. I would say I probably have that struggle more with my daughter.
Okay.
Trace is like, he's been like, he's just always been a really good kid. He doesn't get in a lot of trouble. He doesn't really push back, you know, too much. So I haven't had as many challenges where I've had to be like super stern with him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where, so I had to a little bit more with my daughter, and trying to find that balance for sure. Yeah. It's a tough, I've had to struggle with the Garrison where I'm like, am I asking too much of him to be tough? Like if he's whatever, things are hard. Like, so he needs to be tough, but also be able to show emotion. Like there's a weird dichotomy. You don't want to raise somebody that's just like, doesn't have any kind of a backbone and can't like, you know, do hard things and, you know, right at the same time. But you also want them to be, you know, have the spectrum of their emotions and know that it's okay. And like back to your performance at the Spartan race too, like the resilience to like, that was probably really freaking hard. I bet to say, you know, there's a disappointment. You may have wanted to cry. You may have cried. I don't know. Yeah. But then the ability to like spin that around, channel it back in and pick yourself back up and not just be like, that's too hard. I'm afraid of the negative emotions of failure. So I don't want to do it again. Yeah, definitely. Exactly. I mean, doing hard things is really, really good. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. Cause it's going to happen. Good for us. It builds character and everything. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I worry about that. Like, I'm such a not narrow-minded, but my scope is in the gym. Yeah. Right? So like, I love the gym because it allows you to fail. Like it's a super safe place to fail on a regular basis and know that, like, you can hop back on the horse tomorrow. Yeah. Get another chance at it. Yeah. So I do think failure is a really good thing to experience in doing hard things. So again, I'm self-serving in that, but I think it's important. So. Definitely. Yeah. So on what you're doing now, because that has, again, pretty competitive in CrossFit, pretty competitive Spartan. Yeah. Now you're more focused on. Yeah. I'm just trying to get swole right now. I'm really just enjoying lifting weights and I've kind of been doing more of like a hybrid kind of bodybuilding, functional strength, you know, still strength component to it, but mostly it's in that like 5 or even 8 to 15 rep range and stuff like that. I still like to, like, I did just I did just PR my deadlift, which for me, like I just love to be able to say I did that at age 52, like my best deadlift I've,
That was
and
how much?
452.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, you have
So
to make note because that's a
yeah.
significant number. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, I know, probably the literature would say I probably at 52 shouldn't be trying to one rep max anymore. Maybe like, I don't know, it's definitely like, but I also, like we talked about, I take care of the mobility now. I get a good warm up every time. I feel like my joints are, I listen to my body a lot more. I'm not just beating myself up every day.
Yeah.
I'm way better about the recovery side of things. And if I'm a little bit extra beat up, then I'm like, okay, maybe I just take the day off instead of trying to go hammer harder.
Yeah.
So that's been a big change. But yeah, I've just been enjoying, I think there's a lot of it's, been a matter of like, knowing that, okay, I'm only gonna, and I don't know how much muscle I'm putting on anymore. Like it's probably not that much, but I'd like to be, badass at age 75,
Yes.
as relative to other people in their 70s, 60s, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I know that muscle is a key thing for longevity,
Hmm.
and for me being able to want to do the things I want to do like long from now,
Yes.
for decades. Like, so having that strength and also preserving my, making sure I take care of like my range of motion, all such that it is, and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I'm really enjoying the type of workouts where it's the lifting, where I'm able to make like, through a cycle of 6 weeks, I'm able to like make progressions.
Yep.
And then I reset and I start over, do it again. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling strong. I feel like I'm, to be able to get stronger. It's for me, it's really anything that I feel like I can improve at
Yeah.
feels really good. And that's where the running has been with, and I haven't been running really lately, but that's where that's been cool, because like I hadn't run all my life. And so I even like in my 40s, 50s, I can actually get better as a runner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think I'm still like able to get better at some of these strength moves. I am working on I want to do a 1 rep max on my bench and my back squat again
Yeah.
in the next, like probably in about a month. So I'm kind of working on a little strength on that cycle on that. And I mean, why? I don't know. Just to see if I can, like
For sure.
what the hell, if I can get another 5 pounds and I do it at age 52, like, I mean, who does that, So it's one thing if I started lifting weights 5 years ago, but I've been doing it for a bit now. And to be able to still make a gain is pretty cool.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's a little scary. I don't know how long that lasts. I think most people aren't making big gains unless they're new to it, or any gains in their 50s unless they're newer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've gotten smarter about it. I also take better care of my body. I do testosterone therapy,
Yep.
which has been big.
Yeah.
I learned that my numbers were way down like about 10 years ago. And that's been, I think, another way to allow me to keep, getting stronger and fit. And then, yeah, so I've just been enjoying that. I still, there's part of me, I'm kind of like, okay, what's next for as far as like a competition thing? Cause I do really get excited about training for a purpose.
Yep.
And so I probably will look at doing like one of those High Rocks events.
Oh, cool.
At some point. Maybe, I don't know if it'll be this year, it might be next year, but
awesome.
Yeah. And I'll do the Race the Wolf running just cause my son does it. So I'll go, I'll train, I'll get up there and do that race.
Which one?
That's the one, the Schweitzer, it's a half marathon distance.
Oh, I thought they have multiple distances.
They do. They have a marathon distance. They have a half marathon, which is like, you climb like 3,500 feet or something. So it's pretty burly.
That's rough.
I've done it a few times. I won my age group last time. But Trace beat me.
Oh. Pass the torch.
Yeah.
Fine.
So
you still got him on deadlift and back squat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for a bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, right now doing the lifting, trying to get, I'll probably roll into start running again soon on trails.
Yeah.
And maybe see what's next for competition. I think it's getting to be time to step into something again.
Yeah, that's cool. No, it's super. I mean, there's a lot of things you brought up that are really interesting, and I think you can keep making progress. You're making your approach now so holistic. Like you're an entire. We're looking at rest. You're very systematic in your approach. So I don't know when that ceiling hits.
Yeah,
you'll find out.
Yeah.
So, and I think the other thing that's been something I've been grappling with for a while is like, because my perspective's changed. Like I really, like the gym, like you said, was really competitive.
Yeah.
there's a little bit of competitive, but mostly it's about people that want to live the
Yeah.
next 60 years and keep doing
Yeah.
cool stuff. But the metrics, like that's a long tail. Like that's a really hard thing to find a finish line on because it's
Hmm.
you'll be dead when you fight it.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
so, but the thing that keeps people interested is for some it's the competitive, for some it's
Mhm.
the progress, and I think that trying to define those things
Yeah.
um, is really it's an interesting challenge to
Yeah.
try and determine because if you're not interested in the thing, you're not going to keep doing it. And
Yeah.
if it's a short, like minute progress that isn't demonstrable, then I don't know if it is interesting for people.
Right.
So there's a
Yeah.
balance there. I'm not sure where it is, but
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah. I
work out
think,
figuring
there's
it
so
out.
many things too. I think it's become it's such a natural part of my life. I've been going to the gym, exercising, training for a while now. And so it just doesn't feel right if I'm not,
Yeah,
And
right.
so
Right.
it's just, yeah. And I enjoy it. I enjoy the feeling of it. Um, yeah, I think it's nice to feel like I'm making some progress for sure. But I suppose even if like, let's say I'm in my 60s, I'm not able to get stronger. If I'm able to like maintain for that much longer,
Yeah.
I mean, at least if I can compare myself to other people that are within 10 years of me or something,
Right.
I think I'm doing pretty darn good. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I do like that. I appreciate like, when people say that they, you know, admire me, how old I am. They're surprised that I'm able to do what I'm doing in my age and stuff like that. And I like to kind of just reinvent what it means to be in your 50s.
Yeah. That's
For
awesome.
sure.
No, I love
Yeah.
it. I've probably said that to you before. I
Yeah.
think it's more often, that you're 52. Like that blows me away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool because you don't look it. So I
Thanks.
don't think people are like, oh, that old guy over there is doing cool stuff. It's more like, holy crap, he's 52.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
like that for sure.
yeah, that's cool. That's super cool. No, and I think this has been a super interesting thing for people to do. Like both on, I talk to so many people who feel like they hit 30 or 40 and they're like, this is it. I'm just going to
Right.
keep sliding into the
Yeah.
grave. Like I
Yeah.
got nothing left to live for.
Yeah.
And it's just really
Definitely.
disheartening for me because
I know that's a scary thought for me. I never wanted to do that,
yeah. Do you feel
So,
this is a kind of, again, broader perspective, but like I feel like the happier I've been in life, the longer I've wanted to live it and the more important fitness has become. Where again,
yeah.
it was so much about the competitive and the
Yeah.
PR, which again, they're still pretty interesting, but
Yeah.
the more I enjoy what I'm doing, the longer I want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so I think that it sounds like from you, like there's been some growth there where
Hmm.
the long vision of what you're up to is more defining than it is
For
the
sure.
next week or next month or next race.
Yeah.
So,
I definitely feel like so much I'm much more like training for like longevity than I was, I didn't probably think about that much 10 years ago
yep.
at all.
Yep.
It was just like, yeah, trying to get better at, get more muscle ups in a minute or something.
Yeah, totally. Probably to a detriment of the long
Yeah.
term, right?
Yeah. I was often really beat up and where I'd be beat up for like, days and days, kind of thing. So, and that was, that's not necessary. You can go in there, I know that you guys don't say go 100% every time. That's not what you're
Nope.
supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I would often do that,
Yep.
And so, yeah, so much more of the focus is like, yeah, my body feeling good and looking good and being able to do things. And so I always spend, after every session, I'm always spending at least 5 minutes
Mhm.
with some cool mobility stuff at the end. And I do a nice warm up and I do things like, really deep positions of like the squats and holding them and stuff like that. I think it's been really helpful for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're still PRing, which
Yeah.
is like, so it's not like to the detriment. It's not like
I
you
know.
slowed down and it's gotten
Yeah.
worse. It's actually
Yeah. And also
better.
like the I have way more focus on like tempo and
Mhm.
things like that. So I'm lifting, it's not like it's not like I could do more weight if I was bouncing the bar off my chest in the bench or something, but I'm slow on the descent, even a lot of pausing and just really getting that maximum stretch and stuff like that. So that's feeling really good.
Yeah.
My muscles feel good and I'm recovering well. So
That's awesome,
yeah.
man. Yeah. Such a good message, I think, I feel old when I say this, but like for younger people
Yeah.
who were in my shoes 10 years ago, your shoes 10 years ago, to be like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
pay attention to this stuff.
Yeah.
Do it right. And it'll serve you for a long period of time. And you'll
Totally.
actually get better
Yeah.
in the long term.
For sure. Yep.
Yeah. Sweet, man. Well, thanks
Yeah.
for doing this.
This has been fun,
awesome.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll do it again.
Yeah. Sounds great.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks. Yeah. Good discussion.